My name is David Chambers, and my day job is I'm a software tester. It popped up on my Instagram feed, and I was thinking like it'd be great to do a retreat with men. I've done a lot of retreats, mixed retreats, meditation retreats, plant medicine retreats, but to do something that was focused on men and what men go through and men developing themselves together was like really appealing to me, because I felt that my own relationship with men and being with large groups of men could have really done with the nurturing one would get from being in such a group. I think it's day 4. It's hard to remember sometimes. The days they do move very quickly. How am I finding it? It's incredible. I didn't have that much idea about what would be going on each day and what it would be like. But in terms of the kind of connection between people, there's a really a group of different people from different walks of life, but in terms of just what we've experienced in our own lives and the pain, the suffering, the upset that we've all experienced, there's such commonality, but there's been so much letting go of that pain, and in that has really created a level of kinship, bond, and an understanding that one doesn't have to carry all these baggages for the rest of our lives. I think this is because this is so focused on the experience of men, and I think it's something that, when you go on a kind of co-ed retreat, there's no focus on that, and I think that's, that laser focus on the experience of men, because we're men who have grown up in the same society, so we've had similar experiences, we have similar conditioning. So to have something that just focuses on that and allows us to really train ourselves in our experience, but actually going past that experience into a deeper experience, a more connected experience, is something that I've never had before. I like the way everything's very embodied, it's very physical. You learn something in the morning, and by afternoon, it's not just more learning, more books, more reading, more listening to someone. There's a class, there's a practice that you feel. So you feel the learnings, they go through your body, you experience them, and then you can sit with that afterwards and be like, so I learned this thing about the magician, and now I feel it, I know what that feels like. It's not just something you learn. So that's something that's very different. It's like everything's very felt, very embodied, and yeah, that's definitely something that's been different. Not the sort of men I normally would actually be surrounded by, actually. The guys they come from, there's a lot of guys from, a lot of Scouser guys who I wouldn't normally spend my time with, being down in London, but they're men who I wouldn't have expected to be so open-hearted and so open with sharing how they felt. And I see on the first day people were a bit apprehensive, right? But as the days have gone on, just like listening to people share their experience of fatherhood, of being married, of being divorced, of being hurt, and just different people, really different people's experiences, and realizing that there's not a huge difference between us at all, really. I think that's really quite a profound thing. And the way that everyone has bonded in that way that you wouldn't expect. If you imagine you put 20 men in a room and say, hey, you're gonna have 5 days together, you'd imagine there might be some arguments, some fights, some people you avoid talking to all the time. And there's been nothing like that, nothing. Like there's been the opposite, the exact opposite of that. There's been nothing but support, and there's always a hand that's reaching out for you, when you need it. There's always someone putting their hand on your back when you've experienced something, or there's always someone saying thank you for showing up. And I think that's something that we wouldn't have, you won't experience in the outside world, or you don't believe it's possible to experience in the outside world. Can I take 2? I think there's 2. And they're very polar opposites. I think the 100 Club, that's a really powerful experience. I think I said that yesterday, but that is to release that much emotion, anger, rage, whatever, and put to bed as an incident that's holding you back. All of us have incidents in our lives, or even a seed incident that keeps occurring in the same pattern, that holds us back from moving into our potential, that moving into what we want to do, that fulfilling our dreams in some way. And to reenact that out and release the energy from it, release the emotional attachment, the heaviness that stops us moving forward, is an incredibly powerful experience. You know, that's life-changing work to do that. And I think the second one is the chat we had about sex, the men all sitting around in circle. I think that was really beautiful. And I just to see the shift in the room from people being like, oh, what are we doing? This is a bit weird, to probably after about a couple of people that spoke, to just being open and laughing and telling our stories, but also learning from each other. You know, like, you know, people were sharing a lot of religion came up, like, oh, you know, religion, and it was like, yeah, I felt that. And it's like in hearing someone else tell a story and you resonate with their story, you've experienced something similar, you realize you're not alone, because often we feel like we're alone in our thoughts and our feelings and our experiences. So I think it was really beautiful to have that chat and kind of just be so vulnerable and stuff with each other. There's nothing to be afraid of. You think that you might come and you're not going to get what you want. You might be thinking that you don't need this. You might be thinking that, you know, it's not my sort of thing. And the truth is, it's everybody's sort of thing. Everybody gets something from this. And you have nothing to lose and only everything to gain.